This is Gichigami, or Lake Superior, in the northern Great Lakes region of Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Canada, where my ancestors have lived for hundreds of years. My people are called the Inaabidaa, or the Ojibwe tribe, but in English, we are often called the Chippewa. We prefer to be called the Ojibwe. Have you ever heard of the Ojibwe or the Chippewa? What other Native American nations can you name? My people have always hunted and gathered food from the land, from season to season. My people believe that the land gives us many gifts of food to survive. We have always been grateful for these gifts. Long ago, in the fall, my ancestors moved their camp to gather wild rice to eat for the whole year. Dugwagan, fall. This was the village where my people lived in the fall. Everyone helped with the work. Children worked hard and helped their parents get ready for the coming winter. Fathers taught their sons how to make fish traps from sticks. The trap had to be strong and lightweight so it could be moved easily. They put a rock in the trap to hold it down in the water. Fish would swim in and not be able to get out. This was a good way to catch fish in those days. Then they gathered wood for a fire to smoke the fish, so it would store for a long time. Men used a special wooden fire bowl by hand to start a fire. He moved the bowl back and forth to turn a stick very quickly on a baseboard until it got hot from rubbing. Fathers taught their sons how to make a fire this way. He put a little nest of twigs on the hot spot until it started a tiny fire. He kept blowing on the little fire until it became a bigger fire. The father put the fire in a small teepee made of bark. Making a fire in this way takes a lot of skill and patience. Then the women hung the fish over the fire in a small teepee. The fish were smoked in the little teepee for a day or two. The smoked and dried fish could be stored for a very long time without spoiling. Fall was also the time they gathered the wild rice that grew in the shallow waters of lakes and rivers. The wild rice was dried and roasted or heated over a fire. They poured the dried rice into a shallow hole in the ground. A man or boy danced on the rice with clean, soft shoes called moccasins. The dancing rubbed off the outer shell from the rice. Then the women shook the rice in a large flat basket, and the wind blew the outer shell of the wild rice away. Only the clean wild rice was left. The finished wild rice was stored in big baskets underground to use during the long winter. The wild rice was boiled in water over a fire until it was soft enough to eat. They made soup with the wild rice and fish. When the work was done, families played games like lacrosse, or Inaabidaa in the Ojibwe language. Lacrosse is the oldest American sport and was invented by the Ojibwe. Lacrosse was a game that used a short stick that had a leather net on the end to catch and throw a wooden ball toward a goalpost. Everyone ran after the person with the ball. It was something like ice hockey, but without the ice and skates. What games do you play in the fall? Dugwagan. Fall today. My people, the Ojibwe, still go fishing in this season, but now they use nets. Now, many families set their nets near their houses on lakes, using small motorboats instead of canoes. When they get home, the men take the fish from the nets one by one. Some Ojibwe people also fish in the Great Lake called Lake Superior or Gitchigami. They use large motorboats and large nets in the very deep water. Now, they pull in the big nets with machines and get the large fish quickly. Everyone helps sort and clean the fish from the nets. Today, the fresh fish is stored in a freezer instead of smoking it. Fall is still the time families go to gather wild rice. The rice still grows in the shallow waters of lakes and rivers. Before gathering any wild rice, we say a prayer of thanks for the rice and put a small gift in the water. 2 people go out together to gather the wild rice in a canoe. One person stands with a long pole to push through the shallow water in the thick wild rice beds. The other person knocks the wild rice into the boat with 2 long wooden ricing sticks. They move in the rhythm that is very beautiful across the wild rice bed as they gather wild rice in a canoe. Some of the wild rice falls back into the water. That is okay because it seeds the rice bed next year. Later at home, the rice is dried and roasted over a fire using a big metal pan. We have to keep stirring the wild rice so it doesn't burn over the fire. Everyone still helps with the work. It is a family activity, and even our dog is there to watch. Some Ojibwe people make their own machines to try and clean the wild rice faster. You can now buy wild rice in a store too. My people, the Ojibwe, have a community feast in the fall, using the wild rice and deer meat to give thanks for all the gifts from the earth. Do you have a celebration and give thanks in the fall? What foods do you eat?